This is my week 7 um, evaluation. Um, so now we're doing a lot more practical instead of doing theory work, and we're just doing theory work at our own time because we, again, run out of time. So yeah, so what we have been doing this week really is we've been just constantly running scenes. I did another workshop on stage combat with my class, so focusing on the drops, the punches, the kicks, the angles, all of the stuff. Then we started completing scene 13, 14, and then we were literally just going back to back runs. So we finally completely have blocked everything. So to be fair, it's a massive relief. It's a huge relief. But yeah, so managed to finally complete all of that, and it's looking quite strong, to be fair. It's very clear. It's quite the piece in general is very strong. You know, it shows like James's journey is very clear towards the audience. We've made sure that we're strong and clear about when we're talking about the past, when we're talking about the present. The fight scene actually looks really good as well now. Because everyone's sort of starting to incorporate a lot more things and a lot more different type of styles and stuff like that. It really does look good. And you can see the outcome of the session on my Padlet. And for me, I feel like I did quite a lot, because there was one day where I stayed behind with quite a few people and I just completed the rest of them. I showed everyone, all right, look, this is the blocking. This is what I've got set for this blocking, for the scenes. This is the blocking, let's just do it. Bap, 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 bap. And we did it. We actually completed it. Because then afterwards, on the next day when everyone came, we literally just, if we needed to apply people, we did. Excuse me. If we didn't imply them on that specific scene, we might have applied them in the other scenes and all that stuff. But we managed, I managed to make sure that everyone sort of had their heads down, and we just did it. We did it in the space of 2 hours, and we completed every single scene. And then after we were able to go home, it was a lot more relaxed. But yeah, so we managed to sort of get a feel of the staging on the actual stage as well, for one bit, because we came in all early and then we did it. The fight scenes mainly, so everyone was able to get used to the spacing and stuff slightly, but we didn't have a lot of time. We didn't have enough time to really focus on it, but we still managed to do that. We also, with the workshop that I conducted, so it's because a lot of times when people did from the fight scene before, there was a lot of movements that didn't look believable. And that's the thing with that stage combat. It's you have to think of every detail, otherwise you will see the flaws, you'll see the problem, you see the gaps between the person's face, or excuse me, you see the gaps between, where people are supposedly connecting to, attacking, and all that stuff. And then when people are dropping, they're not dropping safely. I can see some of them looking at this slightly hurt themselves, and that's something I wanted to avoid. So, I thought to myself, let me just do a very quick, I'll do another session on just doing drops, kicks and punches. Because then from there, they managed to sort of just take upon themselves, and they just did it. And then, I feel like the way that I do things in stage combat works really well. So, for example, for one of the scenes, scene 3, there's a bit where it's not a fight scene, but there is a fight little scene going on in the background of the granddad and the James talking. So for that scene, for example, what I did was, I did workshop with them as well for that bit and everything. But then, because it was 2 people, so you had person A and person B, and then I gave, because it was person A and person B, but it was 3 groups of pairs. It was 3 pairs. So what I did, I gave them a pattern. So, for example, let's say Jamie and George. So I went to George, and I was like, okay, George, this is your pattern, and he wrote it down as well. I was like, so you're attack, 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 defend, attack, defend. So then afterwards, Jamie would know that he's gonna be receiving, 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 attack, receiving, attack. If you see what I mean. So whatever it is for George, it'll be completely opposite. So George was attack, 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 defend, attack. Jamie would be defend, 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 attack, defend. And it ended up working very well because they knew what was happening. And then what I wanted to do, I wanted them to improvise. I wanted them to really feel the emotion and imagine that they're really getting into a fight. But they stuck it to the pattern. And then, by doing that, they just did what they would naturally do in a fight, but without physically touching each other. Because then from that point on, it just made it look so much more believable. Because it's like, okay, you may see in movies people doing kung fu and karate or some sorts of martial arts, but to be fair, unless a person in reality knows that stuff, no one's really going to be throwing spin kicks in the air and all that stuff. No, they're going to just try and knock you down. They're going to try and punch you. They're going to try and hit you. They're trying to do whatever they're going to do. You know what I mean? They're going to do whatever they need to do. So this is what I wanted them to do. So I wanted to make sure they stuck with the pattern. So receive, 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 attack, receive, and then attack, 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 receive, attack. I wanted them to stick to those patterns, but then just do what was natural for them if they were getting in a fight scene. And it worked. So this time, I just wanted to mainly work on the technical sides, the technical skills of stage fighting. So angles was one. If, for example, if 2 people face on, and one person wants to do the hit, they have to leave a gap, and then the person just does the effect. But when you do this face on to the audience, you can see that little gap that's in between. You see it. You can see I'm not actually hitting the person. I'm missing them, but because they make the effect as well, it makes it look like they have. But if we were to do this way, and the person was to do the here. I'm not touching my hand, but it looks like I am, because then when I do the reaction, it looks like the person actually got hit, because the person who's receiving makes the makes the impact sound and the movement. So in the end, it looks believable. So that was one thing I wanted to make sure that people took in consideration when they're doing a fight scene. Is really focus on where you're facing. Another thing was as well the sort of the pushes. A lot of people were physically actually pushing people, and that can be a bit dangerous, because if someone just loses slight balance or is not prepared for it, they can drop and hit their heads. So the trick was to brush. So it was brush upwards. So because when they brush upwards, naturally, when you push someone by the shoulder parts, your hands naturally flip upwards afterwards. So brushing upwards, dush, makes it look like, because then after the person, because you can do it side on with this one because you do have contact, but the person makes the impact. And the drops as well. A lot of people just dropping just like that. You're gonna hurt yourself. So what I told them was place their hand down when they're dropping, to place their hand first. So it's sort of like a step behind, put hand down, then drop. But because it happens so quickly, the audience doesn't notice that. It just looks like you're just trying to catch yourself midair, but really you're placing yourself, but you're making it look like you've hurt yourself, and creating that illusion. And that's what it was really for that. But yeah, so for me, I feel like as an individual that I really did contribute a lot throughout this week. By directing, and stuff like that. I had ideas that were, some people either didn't 100% agree with, or they didn't see it work. But in the end, we, as a group, we sat down and we discussed it, and we're like, okay, cool. Do you have any ideas in specific for that scene then? And if they do, they do. And then if they don't, then we'll be like, okay, cool. So we'll stick with what we got so far. And then maybe when we have time, we can just discuss it and just keep it, and just sort of go on from there, isn't it? Which I believe that people, everyone did that really well. We all worked together. But me as an individual, throughout all the way from scene 16 to 20, I just showed everyone and directed them for what I had planned for those scenes. So I already had it, or what I had on paper, basically what I had blocked up on paper, and as what else? The stage fighting bits as well, all of it, and it just ended up just looking strong. It went well, in my opinion, because now we have everything completed. So now next week, which is our final week, because our performance is next week as well, we can just work on the lighting, sound, and everything else, like props and costumes, all of it. But that's something. But thing is like when I did the session where I just I directed everyone how to do them. I directed everyone from scene 16 to 20. Some people went in. For example, we didn't have Abby. She wasn't in, and because of that, Megan had to do her understudying. So she understood Abby, which was a bit difficult because she was trying to learn her bit as well for like what she has to do for that scene. But I feel like she did really well because she managed to just get on with it. So she actually helped us solve that problem by just taking her and understudying Abby throughout those moments. because then afterwards when Abby did come in the other day, the other when she next came in, she we all did, we all showed the rest of the group and we directed them what they had to do for each scene, and then Abby just stuck with Megan, and then Megan would just show her and explain to her, okay, this is what you do, this is when you move, all that stuff. So, you know, that was something that we managed to do and sort out. And to be fair, that was mainly the real problem. Like, not everyone could stay behind, so we had to constantly fill in the absentees and everything. But yeah, you know, for me, because I did learn a lot as well whilst teaching people like the stage fighting section. So, you know, for me, my movement skills, it's just getting better and better in a way, because I'm able to help people to fall safely and all that stuff whenever they're doing a fight sequence, and to, you know, taking in consideration the muscles that's involved. So whenever you're falling and stuff like that, what muscles are you using, where you want to place your hand and your foot and everything like that. You know, for me, like, my movement is just from the beginning of from the very first ever term that I started in this college. I feel like my movement has just developed, and throughout this process in specific, I've been able to incorporate everything I've learned through my past, all my other terms and past work and everything that I did. You know, I'm able to apply all those things and bring it into this to this now, to my FMP, to my final project. And it's benefited me a lot. Like, my movement skills is just completely have improved so much. But then as well, like, now, you know, it's all going along the right track now, because, you know, I'm also back on track with my action plans as well, and everything. So it's just working out a lot more now. And yeah, and that's my week 7